All right, y'all, I got my backpack on, about to hit the road, about to head to TKM. I am changing the game plan up again because I have no confidence in it getting this configuration to work with the Frankenstein heads. So I want to address a couple comments first. I saw a bunch of people commenting up, and they're like, hey man, this is what you need to do to make it work. And a lot of people said, hey, just put a spacer on the header and it'll work. And I don't know if you guys can tell, the strut tower is right there, so you cannot space it out at all to make more clearance for the valve covers. Being that's going to be a solid roller setup, you're going to want to have easy access to take the valve covers on and off, so you can set lash and everything like that and check lash. So making it difficult to do that would not be ideal. This side is even worse clearance because you got to deal with the steering rack. So that's like a big issue. Also, if something ever happened to these heads and I want to switch, I'd have to like redo the turbo kit, which is not ideal. Some people said like, hey, run it down and forward. I can't run it down and forward because on that side, the steering shaft where it comes out of the rack is like all up in the way. Motor mounts are in the way. And I got my motor plate mounts there, which are already set up previously. What else? Someone said something else. Someone said just like cut them and add to it, which is kind of like spacing it. That doesn't work. Someone said cut them and tip them up so they go over the strut towers, and then that you still run into the issue with the valve cover clearance. So these heads are fine if you run it with a header setup, which is down and forward, which is like what I prefer. If I have the opportunity to, like on the Black Sheep, I will run down and forward because it makes it so much easier to change spark plugs. Having everything like up and forward like this, changing plugs, is difficult unless you can get in behind it, but then the strut tower gets in the way, so it's definitely not ideal. So what I have decided to do is I got two bottom ends and I got two sets of heads. I got the world record 5.3 block and I got the 460 cubic inch bottom end. So those are the two bottom ends. They're very, very similar. One's obviously a 5.3 and one is a massive has a massive piston. It's bored out. So that's the difference between the two, and I got two sets of heads. They're both set up for solid roller stuff, so they got the big springs on it. One is set up for one's a Frankenstein head, which is what you guys see here, which has everything spaced out a little bit differently. And the other one is the Dart cylinder head, Dart Pro 1, which is, I got two sets of them. One I run on the Black Sheep, and one I was going to run on the stock bottom end 5.3. The world record 5.3. The reason why I wasn't going to run those heads on this setup is because cathedral port intake, cathedral port heads. The other one is LS7 intake port, which is like the rectangle port. So I was trying to run these heads, but obviously it's not going to work. And I've come to the conclusion that for everyone's sake, for you, the viewers at home, because I know y'all don't want to see me mess with this truck much longer. You want to see it go to Bob Coker Chassis up in Pennsylvania and get some awesome chassis work done and get it back aft. So you guys don't want to see me messing with this too long. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take the intake off. I'm going to take the heads back up TKM and say, Kevin, you know what? I'm an idiot. Take these back. Let's put them on the 460 cubic inch LSX motor that we will then stick in the Salty Chicken. And the reason why I'm not putting that in here is because I have to run external oil pump on it, and I want this to be a simple setup that we can go and treat it like the Boosted Rooster. We go out there, fire it up, change the oil, and just make laps. So we're going to put the LS7 port Dart heads on the world record 5.3 block like we originally intended and stick it in here. It's got the internal oil pump. It's a really good setup. It's got good crank, MGP aluminum rods, fully skirted Wiseco pistons. The only thing I got to do is I got to run an ATI balancer with the crank trigger off the front, which is no big deal at all. We'll have a timing pointer on that. And then I'm going to get ICT billet adapters. They have a cathedral port to LS7 adapter. I know what you guys are saying, like, oh man, those heads are badass. LS7, how dare you ruin those with a cathedral port intake? Honestly, when you're cramming air in there, it really doesn't matter. As long as the air is getting in there, you're good to go. So that's what we're going to do. It still is going to raise the height of the turbo setup, but if we do change anything, let's say we change to a badass set of let's say we go to a set of Trick Flow 245s, cathedral port, and we put it on there, slight modification to the charge pipe, and then you're good to go. So I'm going to take the intake off. The intake's really holding the heads on, and I got one bolt in the center. I'm gonna take this stuff off. I'm gonna head up to TKM. Hopefully Kevin's there. We could show you guys the difference between the heads on camera, and then we will be good to go there. So yeah, that's the game plan. I'm sorry, I really don't mean to be going back and forth a lot. I really try to just stick with one plan, but we're getting to the point now where stuff's kind of exotic. So if you change one thing, you got to change another, and you got to change another. And I think the best bet for this truck is to keep it simple and just stick with the stock stuff. If I ever put the blower back on there and I want to run the zoomies and I had these heads on there, it'd be an absolute nightmare. So I think this will work better. In the Salty Chicken, we should have enough room to run down and forward headers, so these heads, no problem. The intake, we can get specific for it, so no problem there, and I really think that's going to be the best move. So, all right, y'all, so there's the next day. Went to TKM. I was late getting there. Strictly business, got everything done. returned the heads, checked out some other stuff. The black sheep motor is actually complete up there. I don't know if I told you guys or if you guys were paying attention or if you guys remember. We had the keyway break off and the balancer start to spin on the crank, so I took that off and got all that stuff repaired and got it freshened up, and we should be good to go. We got all that stuff done. We're actually changing up the oiling system. We went to a roller thrust bearing, and we have an external oil pump with a different oil pan. So just trying to do some upgrades because we went pretty fast on that stock oil pump. We had some oil pressure issues as it would just drop because that factory style oil pump wouldn't hang in. So the guys up at TKM are killing it. Their website is live right now, but the store is not open for sales. So you guys can go check out the website. You can check out some of the engine packages they have. They got some badass short block LS packages that are up on the website right now, and some Coyote engine packages. They also have a list of all their services and everything like that. And then we're working on the store side of the website and the get a quote side. So it's a work in progress. We're chipping away at it. We're getting it knocked out. So you guys can check that out. It'll be the first link in the description below, tkmperformance.com. So returning the heads to Kevin, we all agreed that it was probably a good idea to do what we're doing, which is go to like a more standard style head, because going to the head where you gotta make all these changes and everything, it's just a lot. So right here I got a set of my LS7 mass black label heads. One of them is no good because I had an ignition failure a while ago and it torched the damn head and the block. I'll show you guys right here the damage. Yep, that's not good. See that big hole right here? See that? That's not good. We actually had just a straight up ignition failure with yeah, it was just not good. Just one cylinder just stayed firing all the time, and at about 330 feet it torched the head, and got lucky there. There were no fuel lines, no oil lines that actually got burned all the way through. I did have a fuel line right off the fuel pump that it was like a -16 line that was singed to the point where the metal was showing, but everything, thank God, everything, you know, did its job and stayed safe. And since then we've done a bunch of revisions and got heat tape or just heat protection wrap over everything. So a heat sleeve, as you can call it. The reason why I think, now don't quote me on this, I'm just going off of what I believe. I could be wrong. So LS7 style cylinder head, LS1 intake. Obviously the exhaust ports are slightly different, but you can run an LS1 exhaust port on an LS7 head. These, I mean, the Flotex that we run LS7 head on the Black Sheep. They're not a D port here, so you're fine. You can literally run whatever. I believe the angle at which the intake runner begins is slightly different. So an LS1 style intake won't sit like flush on this. So I ordered some adapters. They're an ICT billet adapter. They make really nice ones. I like theirs because they have an O-ring on one side and then the intake has an O-ring on the other. So O-ring on one side, intake's got an O-ring sandwich, everything seals up nice. You don't have to use a bunch of RTV. You can if you'd like on top of it. And that will get us our configuration. So we'll have cathedral port to rectangle port, which is LS1 to LS7 port. So the intake will sit slightly higher, but as long as I keep an standard LS7 style head in this truck, I can run those adapters and the charge pipe will fit. So I'm gonna slap these on there now. And for mock-up reasons, I got dowels in the block. I just put one head bolt right in the center of the cylinder head, and then I tighten the intake down, and that makes sure everything's good. These do have the top fuel hoop on that, so like I run like an 050 head gasket, and I think just the hoop itself will, I mean, I don't think that little minor adjustment in height will make much of a difference. But the good thing is once we put this head back on, the original headers when we were building this turbo kit with a 4.8 should work, and then we should be able to slap everything together and make great strides on this. All right, so I'd like to say this is gonna be the last configuration change to this, so we'll have it all set up, and I'll tell you guys the final setup right now so everyone's on the same page. So what's going in this truck? I got this Precision 106mm large frame turbo, which is going right up front, center mounted. We're gonna work on our turbo kit, which, unless something is just jacked up, should work with these. I guess they're kind of like eBay knockoff Flotex. The runners are at a kind of different angle, but they clear everything, so that's exactly what we need. We're going to be running that Texas Speed LS1 style intake with ICT billet adapters that go to LS1 to LS7 on a set of Dart Pro 1 heads, T&D rocker arms. We got titanium valves, and that's on a TKM bottom end. It's my 5.3 world record block that I was going to put in my race car, and now we're just going to put in something to have fun. We're going to run some stock block races with it. It's a 5.3 aluminum block LS. It's got white scope pistons, MGP rods, and a Dragon Slayer crank. And we're going to be running HOLLEY Dominator. I'm actually selling the HP. We're going to run a HOLLEY Dominator. We're going to have MSD crank pickup off the front, and we're going to have an MSD cam pickup also. And the truck should be pretty good. I'm looking for something reliable, fast, but yet not like Black Sheep working on it. So I don't think this chassis is going to be able to handle the power that the Black Sheep will, so we'll be able to tame it back. And plus it's a 5.3, so maybe it'll make a little bit less power, but we're definitely going to put some boost to it. So that's the setup. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I hate being that guy that's changing stuff back and forth, because that's not what I'm trying to do. If you guys noticed, I mentioned earlier, I'm starting to sell some stuff to try to focus on a couple projects a little more. Squidbilly, that's getting sold. The box, that's getting sold. The dyno, that's getting sold because we don't use it. And I'm trying to really focus on a couple cars and have, I want this thing, once Bob at Coker Chassis does the back half on it, I want this thing to be, you know, our workhorse for doing no preps, for doing some of these 28-inch tire Friday night shootout type deals at some of these local grudge tracks. And then when we want to go, you know, to Lights Out or something big, we could take the Black Sheep. The Bad Apple's getting worked on to run the all steel, all glass stuff. And Chris's Vet, that thing's wrapped up. We should make a couple minor adjustments. So we're getting down to it. The goal for this year is, you know, it's pouring rain. It's 40 degrees out here in North Carolina. Once the weather breaks, once it starts getting warm, once racing is back, we're going to be racing. I mean, you could take this to the bank. If I don't put at least 3 racing videos out a week, I'm not doing my job. So the plan is to really, really have fun, really go out there and race. Let's be a little more competitive this year and just have fun with my buddies racing. So the next video you guys see on this, I'm not going to be able to build the cold side until my ICT billet adapters get in here. So no cold side, but if we can get the hot side all done, we can get the exhaust run. I don't know if we can run the exhaust without building the charge pipe. I guess we could. We could try it. We got to build the exhaust. We'd have to build the hot side. We have to put the wastegates on there and get everything all wrapped up there. We're going to be running on alcohol with a set of billet atomizers, the Aeromotive 10-gallon a minute pump, and you know it should be a nice little rocket ship. So that's the plan. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like always, comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's upload. Small Tire Outlaws merchandise be coming here shortly, and I'm going to do a giveaway at the end of the week. That's all the information you need to know. You guys have a great day.